I think it looks cool. I've read The Odyssey. I'm into that sort of stuff, so I was very excited for this. My excitement dims with every new thing I see from this movie.
I would love to love it, but like, it's a really thin story.
I'm so sad because I would have loved a movie like this, and admittedly I will probably still go and watch it, but I have a feeling that I'm just going to be frustrated the entire time.
Seems like Christopher Nolan's Odyssey could be symbolic for all the wrong reasons. It's come to symbolize the power of the modern Hollywood establishment, the need to pack films full of gimmicks to give them mass appeal.
Not only is it a movie based on an ancient Greek legend with no actual Greek people in it, but well, the people they actually did cast were questionable at best.
We are on the Nolan Odyssey destruction train here as the PR just keeps getting worse and worse over this film.
Wow. So it appears that The Odyssey is getting a little bit of hate and backlash, but in my eyes, if there's one filmmaker on this entire planet that should have a free pass to make whatever he wants and just have audiences trust his instincts and judgment on it, it's Christopher Nolan. I'd so much rather be proven wrong by trusting the director of The Dark Knight, Inception, Interstellar, Oppenheimer, and so many more than be proven right by criticisms of a movie I haven't even seen yet. And on that note, I just think all of this is happening so early. Can we really judge a movie as a whole when all we've seen are trailers? No, and I think it's crazy that people are trying to label this as something, good or bad, without having seen it. Now, am I saying that every bit of criticism and backlash that I've seen mentioned is wrong and invalid? No, of course not. I think everyone has the right to watch a movie's trailers or hear about casting news and make their own decision on how they feel about that particular bit of information. But I also think there's a fine line between having reservations about certain aspects of a film or questioning it and making those minor flaws your complete idea of that movie. When I see people talk about The Odyssey and say that it's a disaster, that it's going to be Christopher Nolan's worst film, I can't help but not take them seriously anymore. And again, that's not because I think that they're automatically wrong because they are worried, but to try to make judgment about a film as a whole based on a 3-minute snippet of 5-second clips from the movie called a trailer makes me feel like you have your mind made up about what this movie is before you've even seen it. So that's one aspect of it, but at the same time, I see these criticisms and I just think they're being blown out of proportion. When it comes to the casting specifically, I do understand some of the issues and I can see why people can look at it and say, I have some questions about that, that's not accurate to the original Odyssey. I get that, but look at who we're dealing with. Christopher Nolan has a history of casting characters based on the value he thinks that the actor brings to the role, not going off the blueprint of what the character should be based on past imaginations. Imagine if Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker in today's day and age, when social media was so dominant. This pretty boy that does rom-coms and has never once played a role like this, he's supposed to come in and be the Joker, this iconic villain? I mean, look at him in the comics. Heath Ledger is not that character. He clearly is going to be something entirely different. And look what happened. In The Dark Knight Rises, Nolan cast Tom Hardy as Bane, a character with Hispanic backgrounds. In Oppenheimer, he cast Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer, a Jewish man. And were those decisions interesting in the moment? Sure they were. But what do we know those as now? Brilliant performances by brilliant actors. Nolan is casting great performers in these roles based on what he wants the characters to be in his version of the story, and as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't missed in that area yet. But casting aside, what other controversy even is there? I've seen people talk about the dialogue style, which I just think is a silly thing to be upset about. As far as I'm concerned, Nolan has proven over the last few years that he understands how to write compelling dialogue about as well as anybody in Hollywood right now, and so to doubt his decisions on what works best for his movie dialogue-wise is kind of absurd to me. The original Odyssey was written in ancient Greek, so we're getting somebody's translation of it anyway. Why not let one of, if not the best filmmakers of our generation, try his hand at giving us a compelling version of it? Could it disappoint? Of course it could. But if there's one person I'd bet on to deliver right now in the script department, it would probably be Nolan. And I think that specific criticisms about the film aside, I still just believe that it's kind of crazy to try to act like Nolan is going to make such grand mistakes with his films at this point in his career. Is he completely bulletproof and no longer vulnerable to making mistakes? Of course not. He's human, and filmmaking is all about taking risks in hopes that you can make something we've never seen before. And sometimes that doesn't work, that's just the way it goes. But I can't buy that someone of Nolan's caliber caliber, coming off of what may be his best directed film in Oppenheimer, would just swing and miss on his next movie like people are saying he might. I also understand that a lot of this is essentially just meaningless speculation at this point, because not only are we just talking about what the film could be, but those that have seen it already are all saying the same thing, which is that it's phenomenal and one of Nolan's best. They're calling it ambitious and grand, with unbelievable performances from Tom Holland and Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway and Robert Pattinson. And that's one other thing I think is interesting. When people use the casting as some justification to call this movie a disaster in the making, notice how they're almost exclusively talking about side characters that everybody knows deep down are not going to have an extremely significant screen time. Because I think even the biggest Nolan haters know better than to look at this film and try to act like Matt Damon or Anne Hathaway aren't going to give phenomenal performances, because of course they are. These are the main characters. These are the main people driving the story that you're going to be watching for most of the film. So to act like these minor side characters being different from the original Odyssey without even knowing what their performance is like, without even knowing what their role in the story is, but to generalize this movie as a failure and a disaster based on how these small characters look, is something that I just can't wrap my head around. Let me know when Nolan makes a controversial decision about something that's actually going to affect my experience with the film. When he decides to change up something that affects the breathtaking visuals or the beautiful music, then I'll be concerned, but these just aren't the kind of decisions that worry me. But if there's just one thing I wish we could all do, it's not have everyone agree with me or everyone agree with each other. Part of the beauty of these huge movie events is that everyone gets to have their own opinions, but can we please just wait until the movie comes out to act like we know what we're talking about? Can we just hold off on crucifying one of the best directors of all time over a movie we haven't seen yet? Because deep down, I feel like most people know this is probably gonna be a really good movie. There's a chance it isn't, obviously. There's a chance that every movie is bad. I'm not denying that. Maybe the criticisms end up being correct and ruin what could have been an amazing film. But to try to act like we've seen enough to make that call now, I think that's just so clearly wrong. And I think Christopher Nolan, of all people, has come to deserve the benefit of the doubt. But that's just my opinion. I really want to hear yours down in the comments section below. Do you think we've seen enough problems with the Odyssey to be worried about it? Or do you think these concerns are overblown? I genuinely want to hear from and talk to you all down below. If you want to help out the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. But with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and God bless.